You may know that if you're a fan of Stranger Things, the current season heavily features A Wrinkle in Time, the groundbreaking, best-selling science fiction and fantasy classic that's delighted readers for over 60 years. Well, guess who I have today? I have the granddaughter of the author, Charlotte Jones-Voikilis. And how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Delighted to be with you in St. Louis.
Thank you for joining us here in St. Louis. So, talk about your grandmother's storytelling that strikes you as the most timeless or visionary.
Sure, I think it's the way she treats children as having moral intelligence and the ability to handle big and dark themes. She doesn't talk down to children at all. And I think children really respect that. I think also, she didn't write it as a children's book, and it had she didn't write it with a specific audience in mind. She wrote the book that needed to be written. That's the way she wrote all her books, um, and it had a hard time finding a publisher when it was first making the rounds in the early '60s because publishers didn't understand who it was for. It had a female child protagonist, but it was science fiction. Why would grown-ups be interested in it if it had a child protagonist? But was it really for children? Because it dealt with some really big issues. So who is it for? And she'd say, it's for people. Don't people read books?
You would hope they would.
Yeah.
Now, your grandmother wrote boldly about themes like individuality, love, and resistance to conformity, ideas that feel just as urgent today. In fact, there are many of the same themes that are played out in the Netflix hit series Stranger Things. How do you see A Wrinkle in Time speaking to a modern audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think it translates really well to today because, and at moments throughout its 60 years, because every generation, every child, every reader knows some kind of fear or darkness that they need tools to help overcome. And this sort of gives not a roadmap. Not it's not an instruction manual, but it helps a person understand that they may already have what they need inside of them to resist and to overcome. So it helps them, and I think the themes of individuality and community and conformity really resonate today. This is sort of a constant human struggle of how to be an individual and still stay in community, what it means to resist forces of darkness, and how to recognize and act when you know something's wrong, even if the grown-ups around you don't.
Speaking of what you just talked about, how does that connect the two works across the generations? Stranger Things and A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, I think they both really recognize the importance and the struggle of community, of a friend group, and of loyalty to a friend group. They also both do a really great job of also looking at the individual and and respecting the individual, so not conforming, and that when we need to be brave, we can often do for others that we can't do for ourselves. So that having that friend group, having that loyalty means that you're not just doing something for your own individual self, you are doing it for the people you care about. And so those really are the themes that I think carry across the two works.
What do you think you would delight or surprise your grandmother about the novel's lasting impact and enduring love of A Wrinkle in Time?
I mean, she would be thrilled and humbled by the fact that it keeps popping up. Not just the fact that it's still read and is on, library shelves and in curriculum across the country, but also that other artists and creative people find something in it that they want to be in conversation with. I think that would really delight her. She knew that, the best works of art survive their moment. in which they are written, but it's not a given that that will happen. So the fact that her book is still being read 60 years, and I do think it will continue to survive because of those universal themes that we already touched on, she'd be, again, amazed and gratified.
Now, in A Wrinkle in Time, the book's ending, do you think it can give clues what to expect in the finale for Stranger Things?
Well, when I rewatched the whole series and then I watched the final season and I was really looking for one-to-one clues and oh, it's this. And what I ended up feeling for myself was that it was really, a metaphor and not, and there were lots of sort of moments where you could map like, oh, well, Charles Wallace might be Henry Creel if he had not been saved by Meg, or other characters. Who is Elle in relation to the stories? But I think in terms of the ending, I think the series finale of Stranger Things really did a great service to their fans, and in terms of, the last 20 minutes of the show is all denouement, which is really fun for a fan. But it's really about like you can overcome the darkness, but there is sacrifice that's involved in it. That it's not triumphant, but it is survival, and there is hope in that. So I think that's where the clues are. If any of your audience hasn't actually watched the finale yet.
I like the way you explain it because it also sounds like Star Trek, but I'll leave that. I'll leave it right there. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'll leave it
Uh-huh.
right
Yeah,
there.
sure.
I've been speaking with Charlotte Jones-Vokilis about her grandmother's book, A Wrinkle in Time, and the connection with Stranger Things. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. I am a sci-fi fan.
Thank you for having me. It was great talking with you.
Great talking with you.